Welcome to Reshair on ESPN 730. For the next hour, your host, Chris Reshaar, will bring fresh air to your financial needs. Excite, educate, and empower you to make sound financial decisions. Chris is a seasoned licensed mortgage consultant with Movement Mortgage, equal housing lender, originator license number 117266. Now, here's your host, Chris Reshaar.
Welcome, Charlotte, to Reshair Radio. I'm your host, Chris Reshaar, licensed loan officer with Movement Mortgage. If you have never tuned into Reshair Radio before, our show is all about educating Charlotteans to make sound financial decisions, primarily around real estate, finance, you name it. But what I really like to do is, I don't want to be the one every week here Sunday morning talking to our Charlotteans all by myself. We do that really by bringing in expert contributors that are a part of Reshair Radio and local experts in the marketplace. And I'm so excited about our show today. We're really going to have fun. We have got several people on the show here today, but I want to go ahead and introduce my show. And if everyone could say good morning, that'd be great.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to go through and introduce our guests here this morning as we sort of tee up our show. So first, I'd like to welcome back Shelley Walker from Ballantyne Staging and Design. Shelley, welcome back this morning.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
Yes, Shelley is here every single month on Reshair Radio, and she does amazing work, not just in Ballantyne, all over the city of Charlotte with staging and design, from whether you're selling a home or whether you just want to enjoy your home that you've just moved into, or just sort of make your home that you've been in for 20 years a place you really want to stay. Shelley, why don't you just take a minute and tell us about Ballantyne Staging and Design?
Absolutely, Chris. We proudly serve North and South Carolina.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget about South Carolina.
Yeah, love that South Carolina just as much. And we create beautiful spaces. Just as you mentioned, we have tremendous credentials if you're looking to professionally stage your home to sell it fast and for top dollar, even in a seller's market, very important, as well as interior design, whether you're looking for a spring refresh or redoing your family room, draperies, etc. Ballantyne Staging and Design is happy to help.
And that's really kind of, we're going to be talking a little bit more about that aspect of your business today, and which we haven't really spent a lot of time doing on previous shows. So it's going to be pretty cool. We'll get to that in a little bit. Is there anything else that you want to share with our listeners today before we introduce our guests? Because I know you, like I always say, you're a repeat offender here. So
absolutely, we love what we do, and we love working with homeowners to assist them professionally. And we realize a lot of folks just don't have the time today, whether again they're looking to sell their home or whether they're looking to just spruce up their home a little bit. And so that's where we come in. We are very easy to work with. We work the hours that we know you need us to be there, and we'll take the hard work and embrace it, and result will be an incredibly beautiful space for you and your family.
Yes, just like HGTV. That's all we got to say.
The magic happens.
Right? Just like HGTV.
The channel ruining.
Yeah, exactly.
Pull back the curtain, and there you go.
Yep, we don't let you see behind the curtain, but up front, it's all beautiful, seamless, and not one issue.
Perfect. So, well, thank you so much, Shelley, for having coming on the show here this morning with us. But I want to take a couple of minutes to introduce our two guests that we've got in the studio. And first we'll roll with Janet Babaa, realtor with Prosted Realty. And please confirm I said that right.
You did.
Okay, good. See, you've been licensed as a realtor for 11 years, North South Carolina, servicing both states. That's a long time to be a realtor, and you're still smiling.
It is, and I am still smiling.
That's right. So tell us, Janet, how you got started in real estate. What kind of got you here?
Well, I was in the legal field for, 18 years, and I had my father passed away, and I needed to take some time off to kind of handle some things. My dad had always been an entrepreneur, and so that was kind of ingrained into my blood.
And you kind of had a family of investors, really.
Yep. I had a family of investors, and so I really liked real estate. I really liked what it can do for you, and I also needed the flexibility of my schedule. And so some friends of mine said, you know what, you have a great personality. You should become a realtor.
That's right. That's the prerequisite to being a realtor, right?
Always have a smile on your face and always have the ability to talk to various groups of people at all times. So that was a lot of fun. And, I got started, and my very first transaction was a $500,000 lakefront home. And I got to see the joy of helping a couple. This was what they wanted to dream as in their retirement years. And I got to see that realization, and that was like one of the best experiences.
That's cool. And obviously you remember that to this day.
Yeah, it was an awesome experience.
And I know when we were preparing for the show, you had spent a few minutes telling me that you actually had some working in sort of the estate planning field. How has that helped you sort of be the agent you are today?
Well, so when people are, of course, if they have experienced a death in their family, they want to have the dreams for, their loved ones that have passed on of what to do with their real estate investments. Plus, they want to also, if there's any extra income, to actually invest in a piece of property that is going to bring a return for their family. So being able to help people become investors, I just helped a gal find an investment. This was her second investment home. And, just to help them prepare for their future by buying a piece of property that's just going to continually pay them over and over, month after month, is just exciting, because I believe multiple streams of income are so necessary today. And real estate investing is just a phenomenal way to accomplish that.
Right. And it's about diversification, right? We have so many people that only funnel money into a employee-sponsored 401k plan. But you're right. You can get dividends from buying rental properties, whether it's a monthly check, or if it's something that you want to invest in and then pull out cash down the road when the home is appreciated. There's multiple ways to grow your portfolio through real estate, and we've seen in recent years a really nice spike in the performance of real estate. And there's no guarantee that things will continue to go up. They've been great recently, right? But we know the market ebbs and flows, and there's always good timing. And that's part of what you do when you help your clients, is helping them understand where to buy, when to buy, and how to do it right.
It's
Perfect.
very exciting.
Awesome. Anything else that you'd like to share with us related to your background?
We were talking about kind of what I like best about being a realtor, and there's really like three things that I really like the best, and that's when you take a client in and you've looked at several houses, but then you walk into this one, and the whole family's just this is it.
We found it.
Yeah, that's like a very exciting day. Then the second one, because we've got so many multiple offers going on right now, is that when I get to call my clients back and say, "You won the offer.
We got it.
You won. You got it. This is yours." And then the last day that I really like in that whole transaction is closing day, when they actually get their keys, and then all of what they had thought about, they get to plan now. They get to plan the color on the walls and where the furniture is going to be placed, and they're just excited about creating the new chapter of their life. And so I just enjoy every experience.
Well, I definitely can relate to that. I probably can only really relate to the third part, and that is the day that they get the home, because we're all excited about that. And the mortgage world, closing day is always a celebration day, hopefully. But that's really cool. I like the analogy of what you like most about real estate. And really, it's three components, right? We found the house, we got the bid, and we now we own it, and now you get to make the big mortgage payment too.
Yes, right.
But
Welcome to home ownership.
That's right. Welcome.
But you get to write off the interest and taxes, so that's always good at tax time.
Yeah. So those are great things to share. Fun perspective. So, well, Mike, let's roll to you. We've got Mike Claudio here in the studio with New Leaf Construction. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, glad to have you here today. So tell us a little bit about what your role is at New Leaf, and a little bit about what New Leaf does.
Sure. So I am a director of business development. So I handle all networking, sales, lead generation, client meetings, proposals, contract negotiations, pretty much everything that has to do with the job up until the project actually starts. Then the client is basically transitioned into our operations team to execute the plan that we've kind of created. So that involves things like networking with ladies that are in the room here.
That's right.
Initial meetings, follow-up meetings, design help, things like that. And then New Leaf Construction, what we really focus on is large-scale remodels and additions. So what that looks like is kitchens, bathrooms, taking walls down, opening up space, which is kind of one of the bigger hot topics the last 18 to 24 months is, opening up rooms and then adding on to the house, whether it's an outdoor living area like a covered porch, screen porch, or square footage addition. Master suites have been a pretty common topic lately with adding on to the house because they just want more space, and they see these glorious masters in like the Union County area, but you just don't see those in the Cotswold Plaza Midwood area, right? So people are adding on to try and get that same feel. But so that's like kind of the general over what we do. Kind of the background is Dan, the owner, went to a technical high school, went to a technical college, and kind of learned his trade of woodworking. He started the company in the DC market, specializing in historical renovations, where you can't go buy that crown molding at the store anymore because it's 100 years old. Building cabinets, building custom woodworking was kind of his trade.
Trying to make the home match the integrity of when it was built.
Because they have to. There's a lot of rules around historical sections.
Society.
So he moved the business to Charlotte in 2010. Generally had a trouble getting the business off the ground just because anything old in Charlotte just gets torn down and something new is built.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
But ultimately, so he had trouble. So I have a long. I've
well,
been
old in Charlotte might be like 30 years though.
It's all relative here.
Yeah, it's all relative. Yeah, I mean anything older than 10 years looks old at this point.
Right.
Ancient.
Yeah, but ultimately, so we met in 2010, 2011. I've been in corporate America up until that point. So my main background is just general sales and marketing. And he was looking for that arm of his business, which I think ultimately differentiated us from then until now. Is I have a very limited construction background. I did some summer jobs kind of in high school and college, but in the grand scheme of things, pretty limited background. But I have an eye for good design, and I am an amazing communicator.
Sweet.
It brings in a different level that you're not going to find.
That means you call people back.
Correct.
Right.
And I actually answer when people
Wait, you
call.
answer too.
So
okay.
I grew up in a
it's
world.
a high standard.
I grew up in a world where answering the phone and responding to emails was prerequisite. Now it's kind of a competitive advantage. So.
Cool. That's cool.
Yep.
That's great. So, well, I think we've done a great job at sort of hitting everybody and doing the introduction and really just we're going to be talking about when we come back from the break. Really just we're having a discussion on homeowner trends. We're going to be talking a little bit about, as a homeowner, if you're going to sell your home, what kind of renovation trends would you think about in terms of getting that home ready to sell? And then also, if you plan on staying or when you buy a new home, what are some of the homeowner trends in terms of, hey, I want to stay here. What do I want to do? What are some of the things that are popular? And I think in both areas, we have a lot to talk about there. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So again, you're listening to Reshair Radio. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And talking about, again, homeownership trends in renovation today. We'll be right back. Thanks. Hey, Chris Reshatar here from Reshair Radio with Movement Mortgage. Are you still sitting on a high interest rate mortgage loan? Are you thinking about consolidating, paying off some of those credit card debts, or maybe doing some home improvement? Now's the time to call because interest rates are still at a 40-year low. My number is 704-277-4463. That's 704-277-4463. I can also be found at themortgagegenius.com. Movement Mortgage is an equal housing lender and MLS license number 117266.
When choosing an insurance agency, you want a company you can trust. We are an independent insurance agency that can protect your personal assets, including your home, your business assets, as well as health and insurance needs. A true one-stop solution provider. We do not work for an insurance company. We work for you. As an independent insurance agency, our duty is to our clients' best interests. It is our responsibility to provide you the best service and the best coverage at the best possible price. You will have the added benefit of working with agents who understand your needs. After visiting our website, we will schedule an exploratory appointment to discuss your specific needs. Please visit our website at www.movementinsurance.com. That's www.movementinsurance.com.
Welcome back to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshatar. We are sitting here on a beautiful Sunday morning, and we have a great topic. If you've never listened to Reshair Radio today, let me just give you a quick little intro. Each and every week, our goal is to excite, educate, and empower Charlotteans to make sound financial decisions. As your show host, I bring in area expert contributors, plus bring in local guests that kind of talk about what's going on, what are the trends in the marketplace. And our show today, we're really talking about, there's really kind of a discussion around home ownership trends and renovations and what things are popular, what things you might do if you're getting ready to sell your home versus what you might do if you're getting ready to stay in your home for the next 20 years. All kinds of renovation related topics. And we've got several people here. Shelley Walker from Valentine Staging Design is back as our expert contributor.
Good morning.
And we've got, good morning. We've got Janet Babaa and Mark with, excuse me, help me out here.
Prosted Realty.
Prosted, yes, but Prosted Realty. And you really, 11 years experience, are bringing a lot to the table this morning. And then Mike Claudio here from New Leaf Construction. So what I'd like to do is sort of roll into one of our themes, and that is really talking about our housing market today. Janet, why don't you bring us up to speed as to what you see happening? We talk about this a little bit each and every week, but I want to get your perspective as our realtor extraordinaire. What's going on in the housing market? Talk about inventory, et cetera.
Well, thank you, Chris. So sellers are breathing a sigh of relief because it's finally a seller's market in the Charlotte area.
It's time, right?
They've waited. They've waited for a number of years for this market to come back in their favor. And that's the trend we've seen for the last couple of years. And so what we're seeing now is a very low inventory. There are a lot of buyers that are looking, that are now wanting to take advantage of the low interest rates. There's some loan packages that new homeowners can take advantage of to get some down payment assistance. And so now what we're seeing is that sellers are now able to sell their house, but then when they sell their house in 24 to 48 hours, they don't know where to go.
24 minutes, right?
Yes, multiple offers, especially if it's, price, location, and condition. Those are the three aspects that have always reigned true with what makes a house sell the quickest. And so today it's even a little bit easier because of the low inventory. People are willing to negotiate what they're wanting just because the demand is so high for the buyers and the inventory, the supply is so low for what they have to choose from.
And it's really, quite frankly, it's out of balance.
It's
if you
very
look
out
at
of balance.
Normal real estate
We do not
trends.
have a balanced market at all. So what we're seeing is that some sellers are saying they're finally all right, we're ready to sell. We've waited for so long. But then some sellers are saying, you know what? We don't know where to go. We've looked. There's nothing for us to move into. Maybe we should stay here a little bit longer. So you're not really, even though the market is bringing the best price that we've seen in a while and the shortest time on the market, some sellers are not taking advantage of that because they don't know where to go. They just can't find anything that's comparable to what they have or will exceed their expectations just because the inventory is so low. So while it's a great market, it's still a very unbalanced market.
Right. And it poses new challenges, too, because someone that's selling their home, I'm seeing, and you probably can attest to this, I'm qualifying people to buy the new home, and then they end up going into a rental or staying with family members or an extended stay because they can't find, while they can need to sell maybe to use those proceeds for the next property, they can't find a home to get into it. It takes a little while for that right property to meet their needs, be available, and then they got to bid for it.
Well, and the other thing too, which this could be a whole nother topic, is when you have a multiple offer situation and you've got one property and you've got 8 offers on it, when a seller is looking at those offers, they are not going to choose the one that has a contingency on it, which means that if the buyer that's purchasing that property is contingent based on their house selling, even if that buyer already has a contract in place for their home, there's still so much that can go wrong. The seller's going to look and see who has the least amount of issues that are going to make my house not sell. And so when they look at offers, they want to look at the one that has the most money down. There's no contingency. It's not contingent upon any property selling, and they can close within 30 to 45 days.
Right.
And so that's what the sellers are looking for. And if you've got a property that's contingent upon a couple of other properties closing, that's not in the best.
It's a risk.
It is. It's a huge risk, and it's not in the best interest of the seller to look at that offer seriously. So yes, you're correct. The people are selling their house. They're going into a temporary situation so that they are free and clear when they go to find a house, that they can put an offer in that doesn't have any kind of issues to go along with it, and they can close within 30, 45 days with no hangups.
That's right. Absolutely right. So let's kind of bring it full circle here and talk a little bit about, what perhaps people choosing to stay and renovate because they're experiencing that, what I thought was available for me to buy isn't there, or what I thought was available is more expensive than I thought it would be, right? So, Shelley here from Valentine Station Design, as we sort of brought our topic together here today, we are seeing some homeowners, because of the way the market is, choosing to kind of stay and hang out a little bit longer in their home and maybe just do some renovating to their home so that maybe at a different point in the future, they would then sell, whether or just hang out forever, because guess what? Maybe we have it better than we thought where we're at, right?
Absolutely.
So, Jan, have you seen any of your sellers sort of have this conversation that, you know what, maybe because of the way the market is, it'd be better just to stay where we're at because the prices where we wanted to buy are now a lot more than we thought?
For the most part, people want to move because they've ran out of room.
Okay.
Either they're upsizing because they've run out of room, their kids are getting older, they're getting bigger, they have more stuff, or they're downsizing because the kids are now off to college and they don't need as much space. So you've got one or the other. So if you're upsizing, then the only really way to have that solution is to add more space.
Right.
So then you've got to make sure that you don't outprice yourself in the neighborhood, because you don't want to add too much space to your house to where when you do go to finally sell, you can't sell it because you're just so overpriced in your own neighborhood. So you've got to take that in consideration.
Yeah, so it may depend on the community that you live in and whether or not an addition would make sense, in which case you don't want to overprice yourself.
Right.
Right.
So the biggest things are adding, what do you run out of room the most? Your bedrooms and your kitchen and your living area. So you've really got to look at those three factors to see if it makes sense to add on, or if you actually even can add on any space to those areas.
Mike, can you add a basement for us?
Yeah.
That's easy, right?
Yeah, just give me a shovel and we'll just start digging from the middle.
Okay, cool.
But these are conversations I have every week with clients. They're kind of, I don't want to say frustrated is the right word, but they're like, we have all this equity and we want to sell our house, get this money out, and we want to find something new. But like, our kids love this neighborhood. We don't want to lose the school district. We love being close to the amenities we have. We can walk to everything. But in a lot of cases, some people wouldn't even be able to buy the house they're in because of price values have gone up so much. And they're like, well, the house next door, which is, I thought was a lesser house than what I have, is more than I want to pay for a house. So I literally have these conversations every week. And I had a conversation, honestly, yesterday with a potential client in the NoDa area. They bought their house like 10 years ago. They have extreme equity in the house, but it's too small. It's like a 1,300 square foot house, and they're looking at doing like an 800 square foot master suite edition. And we're literally doing the same exact project around the corner for another client that's about to be finished. And the concept is that we have so much equity, we can almost overspend a little bit to get this house the way we want it and still be able to get money out when we sell it. Like there'll still be leftovers, but we'll ultimately have put more into the house than it's ultimately worth. But, as an example, we paid $250 for it. We only owe $80 on it. It's worth $300. Let's put $200 into it and then hope to break even in 5 to 10 years. And that'd be a win for us because then we get to spend the next 5 or 10 years in a house we love, enjoying it. And one of the biggest regrets I see with clients is specifically in that conversation around getting a house ready to sell, people will do renovations, put a bunch of money in, create this house that they love for somebody else.
That's what Shelley does all the time.
Yeah. And ultimately, they're
Guilty.
like, I wish I would have done this 5 or 10 years ago so I could have enjoyed this space while we lived here, because it wouldn't have cost them any more to do it 5 years ago. Maybe it would have cost them less 5 years ago in this market comparatively. But in general, a $20,000 to $30,000 kitchen remodel is about the same, in a 5 to 10 year span. And they would have been able to really love the space they're in, as opposed to finishing this project, putting all that money out, and then going, well, we're out of this. Let's go try and find something. So really often I have conversation with clients saying, we want to go somewhere. This house isn't meeting our needs. We have a ton of equity that we can utilize for renovation, and we just can't find something where we want to be. So have these conversations literally every week with people.
Yeah, that's a really important point. We see that trend emerging tremendously in our business as well, is that homeowners will immediately ask, what's the return on investment going to be and how much can I get back out of this? But there's something to be said, tremendously to be said, about enjoying that space, that extra square footage, that entertainment space, that space for your kids and your family, to have, big holiday dinners, wherever it may be. It has tremendous impact, and you really can't put a dollar figure on that per se. So sometimes they forget about that aspect of it, of actually enjoying and utilizing the space for the next few years. But it really does make a big difference because it changes the way they live.
Right? Yeah, and that's why when you create a space for people, whether it's after they've renovated or you've putting a house up for sale, people walk in and they have this feeling and they go, wow, this is amazing. Why not take some time and create that space for yourself? You don't have to do it in a new home that you purchase. You can do it in your existing home that you renovate. So I think it's just a lot of collaboration of parties like you, Shelley, and like you, Mike, with the renovations, and that can all be done in the home that you live in today.
Sure.
And one of the biggest questions I answer on a regular basis is, what about resale value? Like, what about this decision, this change, that change? And my response always to people is, well, if you're planning on selling in 3 years, likely you'll be here for 5. And then ultimately, if you like what you're doing, unless you're putting pink siding and a unicorn in your living room, ultimately, if you like it and you're a normal person, you're generally doing the right things that you like, you don't need 10 people to love what you're doing. You need one person to love what you're doing to sell this house in whatever time period that is. And ultimately, in Charlotte right now specifically, what's hot on the market changes every 8 to 12 months. So 5 years from now, you don't know what it's going to be. A prime example is soaker tubs and master bathrooms. 5 to 10 years ago, it was, let's squeeze a tub in here to make it work.
Right.
In the last 18 months, we've probably pulled 20 master tubs out and to make the showers bigger. So,
yeah, no, absolutely. So trends they change, right? They absolutely change. So this is a great conversation. We've got a lot more to talk about. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Did you know it has been reported that an estimated 80% of Americans have credit inaccuracies on their credit reports? Most people that have either inaccuracies or existing items that can be negotiated or adjusted do not know what their best score could be until they have found a new home or buying a new car or applying for a credit card. Then it's too late and they have to accept a higher interest rate or lose the opportunity altogether. The time to work on improving your credit score is before you need it. Whether you have a 440, 640, or even a 740 FICO score, there is always room for improvement. The National Credit Care Team is comprised of individuals dedicated to helping the millions of consumers plagued by credit inaccuracies, errors, and fraud. It is our mission to help inform consumers and alleviate the stress of working with creditors and credit bureaus. Together, we can maximize your scores to get the best interest rates possible and save you money. Call now, 303-747-6390. That's 303-747-6390. Or visit us at www.nationalcreditcare.com.
Welcome back to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshatar. I do have to throw out my little movement mortgage disclaimer at least one time during the show.
Fair balance.
Yeah, I got fair and balanced. I don't know if I should say that, but Movement Mortgage is an equal housing lender, and I am a licensed loan officer with North Carolina. My NMLS number is 117266. Got to get that in there so that everybody knows I'm legit. But we are having a great discussion really around homeownership trends regarding renovation. People that have been trying to sell their homes or thinking about selling their homes are finding out that when they go to buy another home that, gosh, prices have gone up quite a bit. And it might not be a bad idea to consider renovating the home that I have. So we've got several people here in the studio with us if you're just tuning in. Let's talk a little bit about, maybe Mike, you could share with us what are some of the more popular renovation trends that you're seeing today. And then Janet and Shelley, please jump in if you've got thoughts and ideas too.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Chris. So I guess there's two or three main, the number one thing that we've done in the last probably 18 months or so is master bathroom renovations. Typically older tile, small showers, kind of stall-like, and then a generally unusable soaker tub that no human adult can actually fit in, right?
Right.
So
Not comfortably.
Not comfortably. Either your knees or your toes are out of the water. Those are your two options. But so taking master bathroom tubs out. So people have they're scared about doing that initially because of the resale value. People are like, but what about when someone comes in?
Right,
what if
somebody
want that?
wants it, right.
And I mentioned it earlier in the show is if it's something that you like and you're going to utilize and you would benefit from, it's likely somebody else will as well. So that's been probably one of the biggest bathroom trends is master bathrooms, taking tubs out, making larger walk-in showers, frameless
shower heads, like spa-like kind of stuff.
Yeah, and sprayers, body sprayers galore. It's been crazy with that. Jets are all over the place, and people are like, they want that general resort feel. Yeah, yeah, we're putting sprinkler heads in the middle of it. Yeah. But ultimately, so that would be one of the bigger ones in the master bathroom world. And ultimately, like the overcome to that is that you typically have one or two other tubs in the house for washing children's dogs, things of that nature. But then there are those homeowners sometimes there's like, I like soaking, I want a tub. No problem. We'll make it work. Sure. The other one would be opening up kitchen spaces, is taking walls out to kind of combine living, dining, and kitchen into one more open floor plan, and brightening them up. I run to a lot of kitchens, dark floors, dark cabinets, dark countertops, dark backsplash, not a ton of natural light, dark trim, and you walk in and it feels dungeness almost. So a big topic recently has been bright cabinets, even some not normal colors like greens and browns and like grays has been huge. And marbles kind of come back, where granite was the hot topic for a while. Marble's been a little bit of a higher topic lately, and subsequently the prices have gone up on marble, and where marble used to be.
Well, that's why it's trendy. Yep. It's more expensive.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But taking walls out of kitchens and generally brightening them up has been the other, I guess, from us. So I can only go based on the clients we've dealt with, right?
Yeah, but your crew is out there swinging a hammer, and you're looking at their designs. And
And then the biggest other thing, I think, kind of comes back to the housing market we talked about, but people looking for places for their in-laws or parents. Mm-hmm. So they want to find a house that either has a first floor master or a second master or a guest suite downstairs, and they run into the same problem we talked about of the inventory is not there, or it's too expensive. So adding additional kind of suite-like first floor setups has been a pretty hot topic lately. I would say about 18 months, people started talking about it and kind of understanding the price associated with it. And then we've probably done 4 or 5 in the last year executing those plans for people. And, I had 2 or 3 conversations just this week with people looking to add, big master suites in that Plaza Midwood Cotswold NoDa area where historically master bedrooms are much smaller. You kind of walk in, the bathrooms are tiny. They're not that typical. What I would say, I live in Union County, so that you walk in a Union County home, they're 4,000 or 5,000 square feet, and 1,000 of it's the master bedroom.
Right.
Huge rooms, and people want that, but they want the comfort of being closer to uptown, and you don't really get that in Union County. Getting uptown from Union County is never always an easy bout.
No, it's not fun.
So that's would say that the 3 main trends that I'm seeing kind of in the clients I'm dealing with on a regular basis.
Perfect. Janet, do you have anything you want to add to that, or Shelley?
Well, I would say in new construction, when I'm helping people buy a new construction home, I would say 2 out of 3 do not add a master bath to their master bathroom. They do a bigger shower. So, and then I just helped a client purchase a home, and their need was a bedroom on the main level for their mother-in-law. So yeah, definitely. We had to make sure that they could add some extra privacy walls for that bedroom living space on the main level so that the mother-in-law could have a mother-in-law suite. So yes, definitely. Those are.
Well, and have the TV on nice and loud.
Right.
The clapper.
Because it's always a loud TV when it's your mother-in-law or father-in-law.
Exactly. Close off the doors so the grandkids can't come in there and get your candy stash.
Well, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Reshair Radio, and we have been talking about really the trends in renovations. We've got several guests and experts here in the studio, but I want to make sure that you've got my phone number in case you need Shelley's service with Ballantyne Staging and Design, whether you need Janet with Prosted Realty or Mike Claudio with New Leaf Construction. Let me make sure I can connect you to them as resources for you if you've got needs, or somebody at work that may need a renovation, whatever it might be. Please take my number down. That's 704-277-4463. Again, that's 704-277-4463. All right. So, Mike, you talked a little bit about where we all just kind of hit on what are some of the sort of popular things, but how do you go about helping the homeowner determine the cost for these things? I mean, it seems like to me, we talk about, we see HGTV or Flip Flop or whatever these names of these shows are. I can't even keep them straight, but it's like, $7,000 brand new kitchen and,
overnight
$2,500, right? $2,500 for a brand new bathroom. And I'm looking at my wife going, we renovated our laundry room 10 years ago and it was like 10 grand. You know what I mean? That was like the laundry room, right? It wasn't even a mess. So where are they getting these numbers? And it just seems like we see these numbers that are put out there on these TV shows. And of course they're beautiful, right? Everybody is like, sign me up. But how are you balancing that with the buyers, I'm sure, or at least people that you're working with today?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest, I think, expectation gaps that I run into on a regular basis. It's not so much, most people know it's going to be impactful to their day-to-day life, especially with kitchen remodels. Like, There's going to be a mess. There's going to be people in and out of your house. It's going to take a while. Things are going to go wrong because that just happens in renovation world. You come across unexpected. So people expect that. The biggest gap has been in what things are going to cost. In general, what I try and do is as upfront as possible, ask questions about their priorities and goals so I can better align the project to meet. Okay, so if your priority is these 3 things and your budget is X, well, maybe item 4, 5, and 6 aren't as important. So that's one of the biggest things is
They just don't make the cut.
Yeah, so the biggest thing is like what some people might think is a really simple, small, inexpensive change can impact the first 4 items and make everything more complicated and more expensive. You know, as an example, I had a client that I met with earlier this week that she had some cabinets quoted through a local cabinet maker, and she was quoted at $25,000 for kitchen cabinets. I have a similar cabinet maker that did the same cabinets for $14,000.
Well, that's a good savings.
That's a good savings. But people in general would say that still sounds like a lot of money for cabinets.
Sure.
It's not that big of a kitchen. But the smallest thing like dovetail drawers, which most people don't even know what those are, some people it's important to, but that can add thousands of dollars. So little things like that, I can help people navigate that path of, well, is that really that important? Because that's going to put you over budget. But in general, you're always going to have clients that are going to be like blown away by the price and just move on. And then I've had a lot of callbacks from people who hired the cheap guy and are halfway through a project. Sure. They're 8 months into a 6-week project and they don't know what to do.
Yeah. And that's real
happen. Messy. It is. It gets real messy, specifically with like 203K style because
and I've had it happen to
contractor of record and then to go through the process of changing that can be a nightmare. But ultimately, meeting that expectation head on, I don't try to avoid it because I rather have a quick loss of that project than a long drawn out. And you get to the proposal stage and they're like, well, this isn't anything like I told you I wanted. Well, this is the cost to do what you want it is. So getting the design and layout done as soon as possible and really nailing down and kind of taking head on the challenge of this is probably going to be more expensive than you're prepared for has helped a lot of clients, I think, feel more comfortable with us as a company because I'm just going to be honest with you. They even though I'm telling them what they don't want to hear, and I think you guys both probably run into this both with listing a house and staging it is I'm going to tell you what it's going to cost. I'm going to tell you what's realistic, and I need you to trust that I'm being honest with you. I'm not just going to tell you what you want to hear and then have this blow up of bad news towards the end of the project.
Better have the hard conversation up front than when you're in the middle of it all.
Yeah.
We get those same phone calls, Chris, and a design tip I like to share with the clients, and Mike touched on this as well, is really how are they going to utilize that space, and then what are those priorities? And then specifically, how long are they planning to use the space, or like Mike said earlier, put it on the market in 3 years, which will ultimately be 5. Then we design around that. So for example, light, open, and airy is here to stay in design trends. Everyone knows that design trends follow fashion trends with a lag time of about 2 years. And so if they have a specific design taste, let's put that on the inexpensive products, the ones that are easy to change, like paint as an example. So if they're really tied to the new trend coming out in 2017 is the jewel tones, so the navy blues and the deep earthy greens. If they want to do something in that color tone, let's do that on the paint, on the walls. And let's stick with the light and bright that definitely sells a southern kitchen. And use a professional to help you with those materials, like Mike, like myself, like Janet, that know the marketplace. Makes a big difference, and they don't make the costly mistakes then.
That makes a lot of sense.
And one of the bigger things that I've done more recently is I generally have an eye for things, but I'm not an interior designer. Like I don't have that background, but I can tell you what kind of looks good together. But pushing clients to either get an architect or a designer involved early can help them prioritize what does and doesn't look right, what doesn't fit their needs, and then it helps me avoid giving that kind of premature proposal or estimate on a project that may or may not turn out that way once we actually get into the design phase. So giving them ballparks that are moderate but reasonable up front, and then going through the design phase or with an architect or a designer so we can really get the exact project on paper.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So you guys have been a great resource here. We've got one more segment to go, and we're going to, again, finish our conversation on renovating your home, whether it's buying a new one and renovating, staying in the one you've got. We're talking about all kinds of trends right now on that. And so stay tuned to Reshair Radio for our last segment. We'll be right back.
Sports fans know that the key to winning the big game is going in prepared. Right now, houses are selling fast. So if you're in the market for a new home purchase, don't just be prepared, be Movement Mortgage prepared. Charlotte's leading mortgage lender, Chris Reshair at Movement Mortgage will tee you up with a free, fully underwritten, upfront pre-approval. Call Chris today at 704-277-4463. Go into the game prepared with Chris Reshair of Movement Mortgage.
When choosing an insurance agency, you want a company you can trust. We are an independent insurance agency that can protect your personal assets, including your home, your business assets, as well as health and insurance needs. A true one-stop solution provider. We do not work for an insurance company. We work for you. As an independent insurance agency, our duty is to our clients' best interests. It is our responsibility to provide you the best service and the best coverage at the best possible price. You will have the added benefit of working with agents who understand your needs. After visiting our website, we will schedule an exploratory appointment to discuss your specific needs. Please visit our website at www.movementinsurance.com. That's www.movementinsurance.com.
Welcome back to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host. If you haven't been tuning in, we are just wrapping up our final segment. It's really a discussion around home renovation. And we've got Shelley here from Valentine Home Staging, Janet Babaa from Prosted Realty, and Mike Claudio from New Leaf Construction. Yes, if you could only see what they're doing in the studio right now.
Chris, what do you mean?
Yeah.
We are...
Beer nachos.
It's a Vanna moment.
We're having a lot of fun today, let me tell you.
Quiet group.
But what I wanted to do is sort of wrap up our conversation. We were really talking about what's kind of trendy in renovation today, whether you're staying or selling or whatever it might be. But really, I want to make sure that our listeners understand that if you already are a homeowner and you know that your home needs that updating and you're thinking you might need to move, but maybe that's just going to be too costly, there are ways to stay in your current home, renovate it, and use some mortgage financing tools to do that. And Mike and I have both used the renovation tools that are available out there, and I'm sure, Janet, some of your buyers and sellers have seen the renovation loans as well. But just in general, if you are a homeowner and you want to add a master suite or redo your kitchen or even add a second floor to your ranch, there are home loan products. One of them is called the Home Style Renovation Loan, which is a conventional loan product. And a second one is called the FHA, and we call it a 203K renovation loan. I just call it the FHA renovation loan. I don't know what the numbers stand for. They don't mean anything other than FHA gave it a number. But
I've had clients ask me why the cost is $203,000.
Right, exactly. And I have clients say, I need that FHA 401k loan. I'm like, it's not a 401k. But so basically the general concept, and Mike, you can tandem behind me, it allows a homeowner, you can do it as a purchase, you can do it as an existing homeowner, but allows a buyer or an existing homeowner to take that existing home. We get a construction bid to determine, what you want to do. We call it sort of your wish list, and then maybe if it needs repairs, there's also going to take care of repairs on that home that you need. And you might say, let's throw that master suite in there. This is going to add, another 600 square foot to this 1,400 square foot home, and then we'll be at 2,000. We get a bid from New Leaf Construction, and Mike over there, he says, it's going to be $65,000. We add that to the sales price of $200,000. So you're maybe investing $265,000. But Janet, our agent, says, gosh, this home with another 600 square foot with a beautiful master suite and beautiful bathroom, this home's going to be worth $300,000 when we're done, right? It's an investment, and sometimes it can yield some nice equity growth. But regardless, what it does is the loan allows you to borrow the money for that renovation inside that purchase or inside that refinance, so that you, the homeowner or future homeowner, purchaser, don't have to write a check for $65,000. Right. And that's critical because, as Janet, we were planning the show, you said some homeowners are just writing checks for that. Well, that's not tax deductible, right? Or they go on a Home Depot charge card at 22%, right? And spend thousands of dollars more in interest on a credit card that's very costly. So bottom line is our team will work with you if you want to buy an investment property, renovate it. We've got Janet here in the studio. We've got Mike and even Shelley who can help with the designing stage as to what's important, what's trendy, what to stay away from, and allow you as a future homeowner to use a renovation product to buy a property and really make it exactly what you want. Or the flip side is take the home that you have that maybe you're squeezed into and add that extra square footage that Mike can still step in, do a free estimate, and really make that home what you want. What's been your experience, Mike, working with lenders and doing the renovation product? I know it's not always fun and games.
No, yeah. It's one of those things where I would say that the two common misconceptions are that they don't know what's available, right? They don't know that a home equity line of credit or a construction loan or a refinance of some sort is an option.
Loan,
yep.
Right.
So that's the first step. And the second step is most people, and I won't say most people, a lot of people I've talked to don't realize that the equity is not kind of capped at what your current equity is. They do an after renovated value of that home.
Right. Future value.
Future
state,
value.
Or
Yep.
whatever
So
you want to
most
call
people
it.
don't realize that. They think they're only eligible up to the amount of equity or 80% of the equity they have currently. So that's kind of one of the more common misconceptions I've talked to people recently is no, like they base the value on what the updated value of the home is going to be, not the current value. So that helps a lot of people realize that, oh, I actually can afford,
To renovate this home.
I can do this because, well, it's going to add $100,000 in value to the house. Well, that gives me an extra $100,000 of access to equity that I don't currently have. And that process is time consuming. It's not the easiest. Most of the footwork on these type of loans is on the upfront. You know, there's a lot of paperwork and requirements from the contractor and the homeowner before closing on that loan. But then that makes the process go much smoother after the construction actually starts, the loan closes. Construction draws typically come pretty quickly. Project typically goes pretty smoothly. I'm going
to jump in here and also point out that we will get that bid from you, and we give that bid to the appraiser.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't take the risk of, is this home really going to be worth what I'm investing in this property? Because the appraiser is going to come back and say, hey, if you do this $65,000 bathroom, master bath renovation, and master bedroom renovation, if you do this, he or she, that appraiser, will come back and say, yes, the market will support this, right? And a good realtor kind of already has an eye for that. When you're driving clients around, you kind of already know, hey, these are the houses that have been backed out and they're selling for this, and here's the home that you have or the one you want to buy, and it's selling for this. Is there room for that $65,000 renovation? So we'll take your bid, Mike, and then push that out to the appraiser. The appraiser is going to come back and say, here are 3 comparable sales, and we get a thumbs up. If we get a thumbs down, it might be that it only is room for $50,000. And then, Mike, you have to have a hard conversation with that homeowner or future buyer saying, well, maybe we need to trim down what all this fanciness we got in this master addition, and let's see if we can make the numbers work slightly differently with a modified bid. And appraiser will then re-review that. But there is that protection there that you're not going into it blindly like you would if maybe you just did a renovation in cash and just went to Home Depot and had a crew come out and not really evaluate your situation. And I'm sure, Janet, you have seen homes in your career, 11 years, where maybe somebody did just a little bit too much for the neighborhood.
You saw that more back 5 years ago. Now everything's kind of caught up, so you're not seeing it quite as much. But the thing is just to do your homework. And to actually have a little bit of patience. Make sure that you ask a lot of questions. Make sure you get bids from qualified people that come with good references. I can't stress that enough. And Mike and New Leaf, the guys over at New Leaf, they are awesome. And consult with a stager like Shelley. She brings so much value. Right? She brings so much value to the table because she can give you hints and tips on things that wouldn't necessarily cost you as much as they think they do. Like for me, I don't have an eye for it. So I look at something and say, wow, that's going to cost me $1,000. Shelley can look at it and say, well, if you do this, this, and this, that same thing that you're envisioning is $1,000 is only going to be $250, and it's going to bring you the same amount of return. Same thing with Mike. He can say, this is going to be this amount. This isn't going to be this great, huge amount that you're thinking. Or maybe we can trim this down to where it's not such a big deal. So absolutely. And I would say, too, when you're looking at your house, maybe if you're wanting to stay in it, don't ever underestimate a coat of paint on the outside freshen up some pine needles, and a new front door.
Yeah, absolutely.
Regardless if you're going to sell your home or stay in it, those three things can just make you like your house a little bit better, and can also bring huge curb appeal when you put the for sale sign and someone's driving up your yard.
That's
Janet,
right.
I
For the
couldn't
first
agree with
time.
that more. And it's amazing when you have a seller's market and people, well, they just talk to their neighbor and it sold in 3 days, you know, so they think, well, I really don't need to do anything to the
Right.
home. And that's one of the challenges we face on the staging side of our business, because I'm here to tell you that you will leave money on the table. If it's multiple offers you're leaving on the table, if it's a bid higher than your sales price, if you do not take time to prepare that home outside all the way inside, you will leave money on the table.
Yep, absolutely.
And ultimately, like going even back to what you said about the appraiser and the panel here, is having the right team in place is invaluable, right? You know, ultimately, if a homeowner was an expert at staging, real estate, construction, and lending, we wouldn't have a job, right? So that's what we do 60, 70, 80 hours a week, is we focus on
Yes.
our
Slow
trade,
week.
right? Yeah, the slow
That's
week,
slow-
right?
the slow week.
Was it Wednesday?
By Wednesday, right?
Yeah,
by
right.
Wednesday.
Yep. So I think that's invaluable for people. Like, don't be afraid to ask the questions. Don't be afraid to make several phone calls. Do your due diligence. You know, be a little patient in that process. It may not show itself or the value in the next day, but when you sell that house for $10,000 or more than you thought, or you're able to find the house that you're looking for because you had the right real estate agent, or you make the right construction project decisions because you had the right people in place. I mean, almost all the time when we're getting to that final, like, signing a contract stage, I'll bring in a real estate agent. I'll bring in a lender. I'll bring in somebody that can help them make that final decision.
Yes,
Perfect,
a lot of
perfect.
clients know what they want, but don't know how to get there.
That's
We
right.
can help.
That's what we'll do. So this is a perfect time to throw the phone number out here. If you're listening today, you've heard anything that you're interested in, and you need a great crew to help you, call us with your questions. All you need to do is text me and say, I need Mike, I need Janet, I need Shelley, or I need you for a mortgage loan, whatever it might be. You can call me at 704-277-4463. That's 704-277-4463. Give me a call, text me, whatever it might be, and we'll circle back with you at the beginning of the business week. So real quick, we're going to wrap up the show. Shelley, thank you again for being on. Again, you're amazing. We love you.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Janet, quickly, as a licensed real estate agent, I'm assuming you're happy to help anyone that was listening today. Do you have anything you want to share with us?
I am. I'm licensed in North and South Carolina, so I can help both states. And if you say that if you give me a call and tell me that you heard me on the radio show, I will be happy to offer you a free home warranty valued up to $500.
Sweet. We'll take it. And Mike, let's get you wrapped up here and tell us what you can do for
Just want to thank
our
Shelley
listeners.
for
Yeah.
inviting me, and Chris, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
So ultimately, we always offer free consultations and estimates. So feel free to call me. It doesn't cost you anything. I can give you my honest opinion and help you design the project. Ultimately, we're always available. Currently, we're licensed in North Carolina, but by the end of March, we should finally have our South Carolina license. It's taken a lot longer than expected, but we should have that completed by the end of March. So we're excited about that.
Perfect. Well, great. It's been a great show. As always, thank you for listening in and tuning in to Reshair Radio. We'll be back next week with another great show. And again, if you need anything, please reach out to me, 704-277-4463. Hope you enjoyed listening today. Thank you to the guests on the panel here today, and have a
Thank
great
you.
week. This is Chris Reshatar, your host of Reshair Radio. As a mortgage professional, we interact with several industry-related professionals, and we see the good, the bad, and the ugly. When I have a choice to select a closing attorney either to purchase or do a refinance, I choose John Ringer with Hutchins Law Firm. He is a legal professional, and he covers commercial and residential transactions. More than just a closing attorney, John wants to be your attorney for life. He can provide you insights you need to make accurate and informed legal decisions. As a Charlotte native, John has witnessed the tremendous growth and development of our city and region. As a part of Hutchins Law Firm with more than a quarter century of experience and 400 years of collective combined legal experience, they have what you're looking for. They have offices in Charlotte, Fayetteville, Wilmington, and Columbia, South Carolina. Please give John a call if you need an attorney, the right attorney, at 980-275-9810. That's 980-275-9810.
Sports fans know that the key to winning the big game is going in prepared. Right now, houses are selling fast. So if you're in the market for a new home purchase, don't just be prepared, be Movement Mortgage prepared. Charlotte's leading mortgage lender, Chris Reshair at Movement Mortgage, will tee you up with a free, fully underwritten, upfront pre-approval. Call Chris today at 704-277-4463. Go into the game prepared with Chris Reshair of Movement Mortgage. You've been listening to Reshair with Chris Reshair, a seasoned licensed mortgage consultant with Movement Mortgage, equal housing lender. Originator license number 117266. Learn more online at themortgagegenius.com.